Hey guys, my name is Devontae and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. I'll try to make this as quick as humanly possible because unfortunately I'm at work. God damn it. I like my job, guys, but at the same time, I would much rather be doing something else rather than working at the moment. I'm doing some good stuff on Universe Mode. Really don't want to waste my time doing work that I don't want to do. I'm getting paid for things that I don't want to do. I feel like a sex slave. I'm going to compare myself to Andrew Tate victims. With that being said, though, let's talk about this really quick. I'm going to jump directly into it. Sorry for the noise, goddamn window. Okay. CM Punk and WWE had quite a bit of controversy when the Second City Savior left all those years ago. By the way, link is down in the description box if you want to follow along. Now this role may take him back to WWE. CM Punk left WWE due to issues related to his contract and creative differences. He was dissatisfied with the company's direction and felt that he deserved a more prominent role. These disagreements led to his decision to depart from WWE. He then went on Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast and unloaded in the two-part episode that caused a lawsuit from WWE's Dr. Chris Amon. Now it appears that things could be moving closer to Punk making his return. After CM Punk was fired from AEW, rumors about him coming back to WWE started to swirl. By the way, I made a video about that a couple weeks ago. If you guys want to go check it out, I talk really fast. Pause it, slow it down, you'll get everything I just said. Okay, continuing on. We're not sure how far along those talks are, but CM Punk's camp is claiming that the two sides are discussing something. The Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that there could be some truth to the rumors that CM Punk is on his way back to WWE. Regarding CM Punk, and this is coming from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, regarding CM Punk, there is obviously tons of talk regarding him returning. There have been rumors that it's happening, but those in WWE have only said that no deal is completed, and those close to Punk have told us that it is his intention to return, and the two sides are in talks. One would expect if such a deal is made that Survivor Series weekend in Chicago would be the time to do the surprise return. It may be CM Punk's intention to make a WWE return, but we're not sure how possible that is considering all the baggage that would be attached. Naturally, Punk's return to the company, especially in Chicago at Survivor Series, would do big business for the company on the road to WrestleMania 40. Ringside News, who's exclusively, I don't give a shit about the rest of this stuff because Ringside News are written by people named Sajit, and I don't care for Sajit. 7-Eleven, thank you, come again. Alright, so that's the end of that real quick. Now to give my 2 cents on all this nonsense that's coming out. Now, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be really fair, and I want to actually weigh the pros and cons before I give my ultimate decision as to whether or not I want CM Punk. Personally, speaking for myself, obviously, in the end of the day, none of our voice matters. People don't go out there thinking, I'm going to say a bunch of stupid shit because your voice doesn't matter, my voice doesn't matter. All we're doing is just throwing out things and seeing if they're going to stick to the wall, and if they stick to the wall, we'll decide what we're going to peel off the wall. So CM Punk coming back to Chicago, obviously, let's talk about the pros, because I feel the cons are obvious, and you know, some of them involve Khan being in these cons. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about the pros, though, because I feel as if there is a bit of a misconception that all CM Punk is going. Mind you, let me just say this on the offset. I hate CM Punk. I do not like CM Punk. I think CM Punk is a dickhead. I hate everything about CM Punk, from his politics, to him as a human being, to him as a man. Anything that's regarding CM Punk, I do not like the man. If he's walking by me, I will trip him. Yes, I will do the extreme. I will trip him, and no one's going to stop me from tripping him. So I just want to put that out there. You know, people are going to probably be like, oh, baby, okay, you don't know who I am. Go suck a dick, your mom's hot. Okay, let's continue on. CM Punk, talking about him real quick as far as the pros are considered, he is a draw in regards to overall professional wrestling. If you want to say, okay, well, in comparison to a Stone Cold Steve Austin, in comparison to a Rock, in comparison, yes, we can make those metric comparisons, and I've made those metric comparisons. I've talked about this plenty of times, but he is a draw in the grand scheme of things. I just don't feel he himself is so much of a draw that he can just outright do it on his own. He needs a machine behind him. You go to AEW, he's just not on his own a draw. It's not going to happen. His name does not resonate that well. And him going to AEW did hinder him as far as his drawing ability is concerned. Him going to WWE, on the other hand, it's a completely different story for multiple facets of reasons. One, there are WWE fans, especially ones who are not domesticated around here in the United States, who are familiar with CM Punk, who were fans of his about 10 years ago, and when he went to AEW, they probably didn't care much to check him out in AEW, or at the very least, I would probably say they most likely didn't even know. That happens to be a thing. people need to understand AEW is not as popular as you believe it to be. It's just like NXT to a certain degree, where NXT, there are a lot of superstars who come to the main roster and you think to yourself, but they're on cable television. NXT is like 2 days after Raw on the same goddamn network. How the hell do they not know I can't explain it. But for example, Dragon Lee is a perfect example. There are a lot of people who are not familiar with Dragon Lee's work, even though he's literally just turn back on the same channel at the same time on Wednesdays and you can see Dragon Lee. There's a lot of people who are like, oh God, I can't wait to see him. He's fantastic in the ring and all this other kind of stuff. Talking as if they've never seen him before. And that's in NXT. Mind you, that's domestic. Now imagine what it's like for AEW. Even with a star like a CM Punk in regards to his name. I always said, him by himself without the machine, no, he's not a draw. I don't believe him to be. But it's not as if his name doesn't carry weight. And by his name, I mean him actually being filtered through the WWE machine. Yeah, he could do big business for the company, especially if he does show up in Chicago. If for anything else, you know he'll do business that night. And not to mention, I do want to bring up, again, I don't like CM Punk, but I'll be the first to admit, as far as like acknowledging, him in AEW is a completely different story compared to him in WWE. Him in AEW, it's like the inmates running the asylum. It's like you work at your mom and pop store and you can do whatever you want to do because it's private. It's your mom's and pop store. You know, it is what it is. Versus you working for, say, Walmart. It's a completely different story. Completely different story as far as what you're going to get away with inside there. And I feel as if CM Punk has a lot of common sense and understands that the same shit that he got away with in AEW, he's not going to get away with in WWE. And on the flip side also, you got to understand, man, like, people don't want to hear this also, but AEW they're filled with a bunch of fucking children. Immature goddamn children. That part I will agree with when talking about CM Punk, when he mentioned that in the media scrum last year. I understand where he's coming from when he says that. They are a bunch of fucking children. You working for WWE is going to be a completely different story. People there are responsible. People there are incredibly mature. There are actual fucking adults who can talk their problem out with management and not go back and forth with the superstars on anything. Now, granted, remember, CM Punk has never had a problem with the WWE boys. He never had a problem with the wrestlers. You think about all the problems and situations CM Punk has had in AEW, it is strictly the wrestlers that he had a problem with. That was never the case in WWE. His problem has always been management when fucking with WWE. And him coming back, you know, and I'll talk about this in the cons because it's kind of 50-50 in regards to him coming back and not being problematic with the boys. Because on one hand, he has a lot of friends there. On the other hand, he has a lot of enemies too. Which is a nice little transition to the actual cons for a minute. Because there are cons to this. Drastic cons. More cons that outweigh the pros. Because, yeah, even though you could say CM Punk being filtered through the WWE machine is going to do some good business. Even probably some strong viewership numbers depending where he's at. And even though you could say to yourself that his merchandise, all this other kind of stuff is going to do big business, even though you could say to yourself CM Punk probably will not put himself into the same position as to what he did in AEW. Not to mention, especially coming out of all this, I'm pretty sure, or I can't even say that because he fucked up so many times. I can't really even say or put a past Punk to not want to try anything. But no one's going to give him the opportunity to try anything in the WWE locker room or even WWE management. So those are pros, but the cons also being that he does indeed, and there's a lot of cons, he does have enemies in that company, believe it or not. There are a lot of people who are friends with the Young Bucks in that company. There are a lot of people who are friends with Kenny Omega in that company. There are a lot of people who like Colt Cabana in that company. People who like Christopher Daniels who probably don't appreciate the fact that CM Punk allegedly, even if he didn't do it, the word that's circulating around is that he got him ostracized from Collision because his friend, what's his name again, the dude who bites people, he couldn't work because he wasn't invited. He couldn't go to Dynamite. So the way he looked at it is, okay, well, if he can't come to Dynamite, then Christopher Daniels can't come to Collision. Petty immature shit like that. But yeah, There's a lot of people who like Christopher Daniels also. There's a lot of people involved with AEW that they're friends with and WWE that he's going to have to work with in order to get around that. People like Kevin Owens, people like maybe even Sami Zayn, who probably don't take kindly to the fact that CM Punk, talk to their friends that way. Not to mention there are people like Roman Reigns who does not like CM Punk. I would like to think that Roman Reigns is a hell of a professional and he'll put business before the wrestling, or excuse me, he'll put the wrestling business before anybody's relationships that he has a problem with. But that is something to be concerned about. The talent are, I think there are some people who like CM Punk. He did make amends a couple of months ago when he went backstage, if you guys remember that. But there are talent backstage that do hate him, and unfortunately the majority of the talent that do hate him, they're top tier talent guys. Like I said, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I'm pretty sure he doesn't like CM Punk all too much also. Maybe even Becky Lynch to a lesser degree because, well, Seth Rollins is her husband. There are a lot of people who probably don't like that kind of stuff. And then you talk about, obviously, the next rabbit in the room, or the next elephant. Rabbit, elephant? Who's bigger, who's smaller, right? I'm high as hell right now. I shouldn't be going to work. Excuses, though. Another problem is the fact that, well, CM Punk does have a lot of baggage, as has been notated. Can you trust CM Punk to not want to get upset and start shit with everybody? I mean, I don't know if he's locked in legal procedures or if he's proceeding anything. I heard that he doesn't want to sue Tony Khan, but that doesn't mean he's not seeking any type of, litigations or something along the lines of that. Is that to say that his lawsuits, or I want to say lawsuits, I don't want to say that, but his legal procedures aren't completed with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks from what happened last year. That's a lot of baggage that's coming with a CM Punk. There's a bunch of things. I mean, his temperament. I mean, he's such a damn diva. All this stuff. There's a bunch of things that do come along with CM Punk. And not to mention, in the end of the day, I think this is the main thing that no one's really talking about in regards to CM Punk. Reliability. CM Punk is now, 44 years old? Or I think he's turning 44 years old. Two things. From a mental standpoint, do you trust him not to fuck you over again like he fucked you over back in 2014 when he was mentally exhausted, mentally drained, and all this other kind of shit? Do you trust him to not pull the same shit he pulled 10 years ago? I personally wouldn't. I don't know what the hell kind of things you have going on that's going to make you not want to do your job that you're contractually obligated to do. That's from a mental standpoint. And from a physical standpoint, do you trust CM Punk to go in there and not get injured, not get hurt, not put himself into a position like jumping into a crowd like a fucking moron, which I highly doubt he'll pull in WWE, because again, he won't have that kind of leeway like he did in AEW. But do you trust him to not be injury prone? Personally speaking, I would have put the championship belt on it. Personally speaking, he's getting the Brock Lesnar treatment. But even with that schedule, do you trust him not to fuck himself up? I mean, he's older. He's already proved that his temperament is to the point and to the extreme that he's willing to fight people when he doesn't get his fucking way. I don't think he's going to pull that in WWE. What he's going to do is he's going to fucking leave for no reason. And by no reason, I mean things, because when talking about CM Punk, any reason that's regarding CM Punk is always no reason. He just blows it completely out of fucking proportion because he's a douchebag. But there are elements to this that when you take it into context, would I bring CM Punk back to WWE? No, I wouldn't bring CM Punk back to WWE. I really wouldn't. If it was me in the helm of that, no. For one, I don't know what you get out of CM Punk's return, because even though, yes, people in WWE, there are a good chunk of fans who don't realize he was in AEW this entire time, or for the most part didn't care that he was in AEW because they don't want to watch AEW, it kind of does ruin everything that he already came back. The surprise for CM Punk and being gone for this long would have been the notion that, hey, at this point in time, he would have been gone for almost a decade. That I can see the jaw on the pillow about. That I can say to myself, okay, yeah, I completely understand. Whether it was AEW or WWE, if he came back to WWE and his whole thing was like, I've been gone for 9.5 years and now I'm back, baby, let's get it rolling, then yeah, we got a story there. But he came back 2 years ago. He had a full-on run. I don't really care, the element of CM Punk coming back and doing all, I really don't care. I really don't. What CM Punk is known for is his promos, mainly his shoot promos and his style as far as how he cuts promos. That shit's been over with for the longest. Everybody does a shoot promo nowadays. I don't see anything special out of that, in my opinion. Personally speaking, I don't see anything out of shoot promos, any of that other kind of stuff. When you talk about his matches, he's not going to deliver in the same manner as how he delivered about 10 years ago. And even 10 years ago, I never really found Punk to be that great of a wrestler. People compared to the Daniel Bryan, and I just laughed in your fucking face. He's not that great of a wrestler. He's very overrated in the ring. It's not to say that he doesn't know how to tell a story. It's not to say that he doesn't have the in-ring psychology. But one of the rare instances where I look at something specifically regarding his timing, his movesets, all this stuff, CM Punk is incredibly overrated in that department. So, you know, even though you need excitement, and that's the number one priority in order to conduct yourself in the ring, whether that's storytelling or any of this other kind of stuff, there is a part of me that kind of thinks like, okay, well, you're going to go in there with other people who work the WWE style, and this is how you're going to work. I mean, are you going to really have compelling matches outside of your storylines? That's the thing you have to think about also. There's a bunch of things I put into consideration in regards to CM Punk that I stop and I think and I say to myself, it's not worth it. Between his attitudes, between what he's already done in regards to causing strife and tribulations within the locker rooms, between him not really, I think he would do something for Survivor Series, but in the long term, I think CM Punk would deteriorate as time goes on because, again, he's not a Rock and he's not a Triple H. You know, how can I put this? Him drawing has nothing to do with being a draw. Does that make any sense? Right? He can draw in the context of professional wrestling today, but that doesn't mean he's a draw overall, if that makes any sense. And as time goes on, it will deteriorate. You know, that return on the investment, it's going to wind down drastically as time goes on, because again, it's not as if CM Punk was gone the entire time. He's been in another company. I just don't see the point in bringing him in, honestly. Now, people may be excited and they might want to see him come, and that's your prerogative. But me personally, I'm personally good. That's just me, though. But I'm going to let you guys discuss this down in the comment section below. I said this was going to be a fast video, and I went damn near 18 goddamn minutes. So let me wrap this up because I have to get back to work. Talk amongst each other in the comment section. Let me hear some of your comments bouncing back off and forth and back and forth, and with you guys, and you know, throwing things around and calling me an asshole and all this. Go ahead, do your thing. I won't read your comments anyway, so later on today most likely, and I'll be back later on tonight for the SmackDown review. But as always, oh, and don't forget, I'm also reviewing Fastlane tomorrow also. So yeah, whatever. Douches P eyes.